We did it, because our opponent drew nothing. What's going on, guys? If you want to support our content and pick up this month's amazing Patreon rewards, you can do so at patreon.com/itresolves. If you're interested in custom playmats and sleeves, visit yourplaymat.com and use code ITRESOLVES10YP for 10% off your entire purchase. What's going on, guys, and welcome to some more gameplay video. Today we are jumping into Standard before Historic gets a nice little shake-up hopefully later this week, but really wanted to revisit a particular deck. Before we get into that, though, I just want to remind you, if you are not already, please make sure you subscribe to this channel. It does mean a more than you could possibly imagine for new people to join our community and be a part of this. It really does mean a lot. Liking the video is also a great way to support, so if you do enjoy it, please feel free. Don't feel like you have to, of course, but it would really mean a lot. Now, got a lot I want to talk about today, but let's start with the deck. It is Rakdos Sacrifice. This is a version of the list that we have played, at least a very similar version of this list prior to, without the Forgotten Realms stuff. Not that there is a ton, actually, that kind of got added to this list, but we do have Shambling Ghast, a nice little 1/1 that comes out early in the game. The idea is obviously when you sacrifice it, you get something, in this case either a treasure token, or you can potentially even kill off an opponent's creature. Some of the early drops, things like that. Only a one of, really, but it does combo quite well with things like Village Rites and, of course, Woe Strider, things like that. So very, very good in my opinion. The version of this list does run a lot of steal stuff, so we do have Claim the Firstborn, which is going to steal a lot of the early game creatures and hopefully be able to sacrifice it. And then, of course, the Akroan War, which does a very similar thing. Now, the trick is, when you do run this much steal stuff, I mean, we've got 8 spells dedicated to basically stealing the opponent's creatures. If the opponent doesn't really have any creatures, it's not great for us. So we do have to keep that in mind. That's something that does happen fairly often, is that if you run up against a control deck, sometimes this version of the list can be a bit tricky. But regardless, I still think it's worth playing. Still utilizing things like Kroxa, the Mire Triton, being able to mill some cards, throwing some stuff in the graveyard, and then being able to play Kroxa very early. Obviously quite good for us. Bonecrusher Giant for a little bit of interaction. The Woe Striders here for some sacrifice outlets, and then Tymaret Calls the Dead. Again, another way to fill the graveyard and actually gain a little bit of life long term and that kind of stuff as well. Deadly Dispute and Village Rites, obviously some card draw for the deck. Deadly Dispute also creates a treasure token, which is quite good for us. Shatterskull Smashing, a little bit of interaction as well, but generally we could also just play this as a land. It's a little bit expensive for removal, but it does provide us with a very, very smooth mana curve. In terms of lands, we are looking at 21 here, but then with these, technically 25. But the great thing about this is it's actually just super, super smooth. It's usually not an issue. We do at the very top end, of course, have Rankle as a one of, but overall, this is really just like the big finisher if we can get it. Kroxa is kind of the big bomb of the list, if that makes sense. Rankle is just a way to kind of poke through that damage and hopefully gain a lot of extra momentum from those 3 abilities that Rankle has. Very, very good. Hive of the Eye Tyrant is a nice little addition to this deck that we did not see in the previous version. Being able to include a man-land option for this list is quite helpful, because obviously if they remove creatures, if they sweep, that kind of thing, it can be a bit of a problem for us. The trick is, though, Kroxa really helps get around that as well, and that if they do happen to sweep, we just get to replay Kroxa hopefully later on. So we'll see. This is a very strong deck in my opinion. I've played it before, but I want to see how it works in this meta, and again with a couple of little additions as well. Let's jump into this. We're going to go through 3 games. We're also going to talk about the Magic Showcase that we had yesterday, because I think there's a lot to talk about there. So let's jump right in. All right, guys, here we are for game number 1, and this is a pretty easy keep. We've got Kroxa. We've also got Bonecrusher Giant, Claim the Firstborn. We've got some nice stuff. I'm gonna see how this one goes. It's definitely worth it to give it a shot. I did just mention we are going to be talking a little bit about the showcase that happened yesterday. That was a live event placed by Wizards to announce a lot of the upcoming year, finishing out this year, and then of course having a lot to do with next year. We did get the full lineup of sets for next year, which is pretty awesome. I have some overwhelming things that I did not like about this showcase, and then some things that I really liked. I'm going to start positive, though, because I think that that's a great place to start. I really am looking forward to next year's sets. In particular, I do think the new Kamigawa Neon Dynasty, I believe is what it's called, is actually really sick. It's cyberpunk themed. It has a lot going for it, in my opinion. The artwork is just beautiful. And so I can't wait to see that. I think that's going to be great. I do think that Kamigawa was a tricky set initially. It was very thematic. It was beautiful in terms of the lore and the artwork, but not a lot of people liked it at the time. Obviously, that's an older set, so a lot of you guys may not have even been here around at that time. Let's see. Yeah, we'll do that. With X Void counter, I have never seen this played. At the beginning of your upkeep, exile Sphere of okay. Okay, that's fine. So I really am looking forward to that, like a lot. I think that's going to be kind of awesome. But that being said, I will, oh, and Dominaria also, excuse me. I did want to mention Dominaria because I think Dominaria is just going to be really sweet as well. Maybe I shouldn't have attacked. I should have just let this exile everything. We'll see. I think we just pass here. This is going to exile everything. So, yeah, I mean, that sucks, but it is what it is. So obviously that's going to be a really interesting set, in my opinion. I think there's going to be a lot of good stuff to come out of that one. All right, sorry, I'm having to think very hard because I'm not good at thinking. Let's do this. Let's see what we mill here. We will get the Akroan War out. And we'll just pass. So yes, very excited about Kamigawa. I think that's going to be a really good one. The new Dominaria sets, I think, look sick. We're getting the Brothers War, which is really exciting, in my opinion. If you guys don't know much about the Brothers War, that's sort of the inception of Magic. Wizards used to release novels along, I'm talking like full-fledged novels, along with the sets that were released. And what's really cool about that is it gave you a lot more backstory to not only the characters, but just the stuff that was kind of going on. And it was really cool. So if you have not ever picked up any of those novels, that's fine, but I would definitely suggest checking them out. The Brothers War was the first, if I'm not mistaken. If it wasn't the first, it was definitely one of the first. And it told a story between Mishra and Urza, who really started a lot of the stuff, if that makes sense. I'm being slightly vague there, but I have read The Brothers War. It's not perfectly well written, but it is really awesome. And so it's kind of cool to see that backstory played out. And we won. We did it because our opponent drew nothing. There it is. All right, let's jump into game 2. We'll keep talking about this. All right, guys, here we are for game number 2, and yeah, I mean, we definitely keep this. We've got the Mire Triton and the Tymaret Calls the Dead. Very solid start. But yeah, so Dominaria is going to be pretty sick. I'm happy to revisit that. Very fun. And then there was a new set, and I don't remember the name of it. I apologize, but it's going to be pretty sick, I think. We've got a lot of cool stuff coming down the pipeline, so I'm excited about the main sets that are coming. The one main set that really didn't catch my eye was the Lord of the Rings set. So obviously they did announce a couple of IP crossovers. Lord of the Rings was one, Fortnite was one, Warhammer 40,000 or whatever is one. Like, there's a few that are out there that obviously we're gonna have to consider, which is fine. I think a lot of people hated that, like really hated that. And I think that's fine. It seemed like a little bit too much hate. Like, I get it, okay? Wizards, Magic's doing some silly stuff. Like, in general, there's a lot of random stuff going on that's just kind of odd, and it's not what I would consider, at least, maybe being the best thing for the game. But all that said, they're still doing fine. If they weren't doing fine, we wouldn't be getting all of this stuff. And so I think where my frustration came from with watching the chat as it was going through was just that so many people were just so spiteful and hateful towards everything that they were doing. And like, it wasn't fun to watch chat. It was awful to watch chat. Now, I get it. It was a little cringe. We did some silly stuff that I would argue is a little, you know, cringy, things like that. I get it. It's a little cringy for sure, but it wasn't like the worst thing in the world. Like, it was still fine, and we still got a lot of really cool stuff out of it. So like, to me, it was a lot of complaining, and I get it, that's fine, but it was just a little much. Like, we could have toned it back a lot, and it would have been great, but we didn't, and so, I don't know, it got a little ridiculous, in my opinion. I think a lot of people were just hammering them, saying Magic is dead, Magic is dead. Well, obviously it's not. If it was dead, we wouldn't be getting so many sets over the course of next year. Like, it just isn't how it works. So in my opinion, it was just like an obvious, okay, we need to tone this back a little bit. And regardless, I think it was a really interesting showcase. There was a lot, like I said, that came out of it. The secret layers I'm not stoked about. Aside from maybe the Planeswalker one, I did kind of like that. Like the old school frame onto fairies. I thought that was kind of cool. But regardless, there's still a lot of cool stuff coming, is all I can say. And so what does this do? So we want to kill that like immediately. Yeah, let's do that. The name of the game, by the way, against these aggro lists is just outpace them. So anytime they're using mana, you want to make it as inefficient for them as possible. That's just the best way to do it. No blocks. I'm surprised they didn't attack with the charger, actually. I guess they want to keep it around for the equipments, maybe? I don't know. But regardless, that kind of worked well. Do we want like any of this? Not really, no. Here we just get to play Kroxa, which I think is just the best thing. I mean, we can, I guess, try and get rid of some stuff here, but I feel like Kroxa is probably just the best answer. That being said, do we attack first? I'm gonna say yes. We do need to deal some major damage to them, so like I feel like getting in there for as much damage as we can is probably a good idea. And then playing Kroxa, which is going to get rid of the card in hand, which is quite useful. Let's make sure we're exiling. When you do exile for Kroxa, you want to do lands, instants, and sorceries next, and then hold off on all the creatures and the enchantments because of Tymaret Calls the Dead. It's generally pretty important to think about, just to make sure that you're not losing out on value there. Do we keep the Shatterskull Smashing? I actually think we do. It is a removal spell at the end of the day, and so we might be able to get rid of something. So I want to make sure that we have that ability. They can equip this to the Smith here, which is quite good, because it does really, really power it up, but we'll see what they actually want to do. Oh, nice. So they could kill Kroxa if they attack here, which I think is just the wrong move, because obviously we can just then attack in afterwards. All right, so let's do this. We're gonna Akroan War. We're gonna steal you. And I mean, I think we just attack in with everything. I think that's probably enough. If not, it's very close to enough to kill them. So they get to kill Kroxa here. Let's do that. We're gonna let them. Oh yeah, duh, we just win. All right, go us, we did it again. 2 wins. All right, let's go, hey, and we ranked up. Let's go ahead and go to game 3, let's see how we do. All right, guys, here we are for our 3rd and final game. And yeah, this is pretty easy keep as well. We've got a nice Shambling Ghast into Kroxa, and then we've got some top end here, so we'll give it a shot, we'll see how it goes. One thing I wanted to mention though, guys, when I mention all of this, this stuff from the showcase, I don't mean it in a way where I want to discourage anybody from having their own opinion. If you don't like what Wizards is doing, that's fine. Like, you're entitled to that opinion. I think where I got very frustrated is like so many people were just saying, you're destroying the game, you're destroying the game. Well, they make the game. And so really they're doing what they think is right, either for money purposes or not. And either way, you know, it is what it is. We're still gonna get those sets. So in my view, it's more about just kind of going with it and seeing what kind of stuff we get out of it, because I think there's a lot of cool stuff that we can get out of it. And you know, like, I think a lot of people take this game very seriously, potentially too seriously. I would suggest for everybody out there who got extraordinarily pissed at the showcase, maybe just take a step back and just be like, you know what? It's a game, and I'm gonna have a really fun time with this game, and that's the best thing that I can do to enjoy it. Because I think that that's the truth. I think that anybody who wants to just enjoy the game for the game is in the best possible place to be able to. And like, I don't know, that seems more important to me, is all I can say. And I certainly hope that that's not, you know, jarring to anybody, or nobody feels like they're being overshadowed by that. I think it's really important that we close what has become a very large divide in all aspects of life, but in particular right now with Magic. There seems to be this massive divide over stuff, and it's like, guys, it's fine. Like, nothing that terrible is going on right now. Certainly there's some stuff we could be doing better in the Magic world. I get it. But goodness gracious, we can all take a step back and just chill a little bit, and I think it'll be fine. All right, what do we need to do? We can do this and try and just power them out. Alternatively, we could just play Kroxa, get a card out of hand, which I think I kind of like that better. Truth be told, I think we need to get as many resources out of their hand as possible here, because this is a mono blue deck. They are going to be interactive. We need to make sure that they don't have that much going for them, and that helps. It's something. I mean, they were going to play another one, but still, it's something out of the hand, I guess. We do have a lot of stuff in the graveyard as well, so we should be able to hopefully play Kroxa next turn. Alternatively, we could just steal this thing, which seems pretty good. Okay, different. Didn't expect that. What is this list? Is this just like basic mono blue? Because it's pretty close. All right, so we have a free turn here if we would like to play Kroxa. Alternatively, we could Shatterskull Smashing and kill everything, which isn't terrible. I think I'm actually in for the Shatterskull Smashing play. Let's do this. It's a freebie way to kill all of their stuff. Let's do here and here. Let's do that. Kills both of their things. And then this way, if they do have a follow-up creature, we steal that after they've already played it, and like, we're kind of good to go. They just aren't playing lands, so we know they don't have lands in their hand. What a card. All right. I think we should be good. I'm hoping, at least. We'll obviously see, but let's get another black source, I suppose. And I think here we are just gonna play 3, 4, 5. Again, want to keep the creatures in the yard at all costs if we can, because most of them do have escape. So it's going to get another card out of hand for them. Now, obviously, they can equip this up and attack in. They're going to gain some life. It's pretty free for them to do so. Oh, they do have unsummons. That's interesting. Happy to attack in here. Very much doubt they're going to block. Sure. But Kroxa isn't really a good target for unsummon. We can just kind of keep playing it. Oh, okay. Well, that's very solid. I like that. We do just have another Kroxa, though, so doesn't really solve their problem. We also just can steal their thing, which I think is probably the right call, right? Just double checking, because we could do some other stuff, but I think this is good. Let's steal you. And let's attack in. It's going to allow us to gain a little bit of life back as well, so they can unsummon this if they would like, and that would bring it back to their hand, which is quite good. But they then are in a place where they really don't have a lot going for them. They already kind of don't. Ooh, that's so good. That allows us to then sacrifice this later on, so that's very, very helpful. Yeah, we're going to do this. We're going to mill 3. We do need to fill up the yard for the other Kroxa, so let's do as much of that as we can. I'm actually going to decline. I don't particularly want to do that. We're going to leave up Deadly Dispute, I think, here. I think that's probably the right call. Just so if they do unsummon anything, we just get to then Deadly Dispute it. I mean, that seems pretty solid, so I think that's worth it. They're also decentivized right now to play creatures. I guess they were up until this point, but we'll see what happens. Okay. Let's Deadly Dispute now. All right. So we draw 2 cards, create a treasure token. That's going to refill our hand and get our mana in a great place. We already were kind of fine on mana, but all right, perfect. Now we can fill the yard even more. We can happily exile a Mire Triton there, and that's no big deal at all. Now my assumption is they probably do have some kind of counter spell here. I'm playing the red, by the way, so we can play Bonecrusher Giant following up this Kroxa. Yes, I do want to play you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Whoops, did I miss one? Yeah, I did. All right. Let's do that. They could very easily have a counter here, and that's fine. But crucially, even if they counter it, it just goes to the graveyard, so it's really not the end of the world for us. Here, this is going to trigger, so they do have to discard a card. Pretty happy with the way this is going. Water Knot. What is this list? All right, let's attack in first, I suppose. I wanted to get that card out of hand before we attacked, and I think that was worth it to do. Just in case. So they are going to put an hour clock on this. Okay. How many do they have? 4. They're not super close. They are a third of the way there. And we'll throw Bonecrusher Giant out. So now we're at the point where it's just like, okay, we have a lot of power. We should be able to finish them off in a turn or two, assuming they don't do anything too crazy to our board. Okay. Again, annoying, but we still have multiple things on the field that can kind of take them down here. Yeah, let's do that. I think that's fine. Truthfully, I don't think it really matters. We don't have quite enough stuff in the graveyard. Oh, we should have played Fabled Passage. That would have filled our graveyard up a little bit here. Bit of a mistake on our end. So we can draw a card. I don't really think we need to. I'm just going to play this out. How many do we escape with, actually? No, we're not going to do that. All right, let's attack. Fabled Passage was definitely the play. Oh, man, I'm missing a few things, actually. We could have attacked with this as well. Whoops. My bad, guys. Could have finished this off a little quicker. We also don't have to attack with a 0-1, obviously, but who cares? All right. Let's see what they do. We can Castle Locthwain if we want. I don't really think we want to. I don't think we need to. They're going to take 2 damage just to do this. That's fine. Resolve all. So down to 5, which means we do have lethal next turn. So that's fine. That's really good, actually. So yeah, we do just have lethal. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And truthfully, we can even... We're not going to need to. All right, let's do this. Let's pull out a land. Let's activate you. And exile a card from the graveyard. Not that we need to. And that's game. Exactly game. That's 3 wins. That's pretty solid. I really like this game. Or this deck, excuse me. Opponent just gonna... Anyway, let me know your thoughts, guys. If you enjoyed the showcase yesterday, let me know, because I'm genuinely interested. I just don't like that there's such a divide of people who are like diehard supporters and then people who are like willing to, no matter what, hate on everything Wizards does. It's okay if you don't like what Wizards does. Like, that's totally fine. I don't know. It seems like people are a little crazy about it. Anyway, let's talk about this deck. All right, guys, so let's talk Rakdos Sacrifice. I know we did a lot more talking about the showcase than we did the actual deck, and I misplayed a good bit because I have a hard time concentrating, clearly. But regardless, I really like this list. We got 3 wins. It's a very efficient list. It does not need a lot of mana to work properly, and we actually got very lucky because we did not hit a ton of control lists. I would argue that mono blue list wasn't so much control as it was tempo, and it wasn't great in my opinion. And so I think we were actually good regardless. We were able to take care of their creatures very, very quickly. Which opened up the door for us to kind of take our time. And even if they had gotten the clock off, I think we would have been okay at the very least, because we can pick apart their hand pretty quickly. So regardless, a fantastic list. I do still recommend this one. I played this, like I said, a while back. Even then, I recommended it because I think it's that good. And I still maintain I think it's a very, very solid list. There are different configurations. Check them out because I do think Claim the Firstborn and the Akroan War in particular are a little bit tricky depending on the matchup. But regardless, it was a great time. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. Thank you guys so much for watching. Great to be back with some gameplay. I cannot wait to jump into some more. I hope to see you guys again very soon. Have a great day, guys.